Right now, as we speak, disabled people are suffering all across Palestine. Ahmad Manasra, a Palestinian who was arrested in 2015 at just the age of 13 after falsely being accused of stabbing two Israelis. Ahmad Manasra is one of the many people facing this suffering. Now, Ahmad was arrested in 2015 while he was still a child at the age of 13. He was falsely accused of stabbing two Israeli people, and despite Israeli courts finding that Ahmad did not participate in the stabbings, he was sentenced to 9.5 years for attempted murder at 13. His cousin, who was with him during the incident, was unfortunately shot and killed, and Ahmad himself sustained very serious head injuries after being hit by a car. The footage from his interrogation showed him being threatened and insulted by IDF and Israeli officers while he sat sobbing with a head bandage. As of 2023, Ahmad is now 21 and has been in solitary confinement since November 2021. Now, everybody knows how inhumane solitary confinement, how inhumane the prison system is in general, but solitary confinement is a next level of this mental torture, and Ahmad suffered that torture. Since he was in solitary for so many years, it has severely affected his mental health, and he has been diagnosed with serious conditions, including schizophrenia and severe depression, and it's led to so many hospitalizations for him. Despite the warnings from independents about the risk to his life if he remains in a prison cell, Israeli authorities continue to ignore these concerns, and his mental health deteriorated to such an extent that he was even too unwell to attend a court hearing scheduled to discuss the extension of his solitary confinement. And I'm so disgusted as I say this because it's just another example of genocidal tactics being used against Palestinians. Now, the Israeli prison service system has requested to extend Ahmad's isolation for another 6 months. And even Amnesty International has described this move as a brazen violation of international law. Prolonged solitary confinement exceeding even 15 days is considered a violation of the absolute prohibition of torture and other cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment. This ongoing confinement, even in light of his serious mental health issues, demonstrates a disregard for Palestinians' rights, well-being, and lives that we've been seeing for decades. This calls for urgent attention and action from the international community, from international human rights organizations and individuals who claim to advocate for justice and human rights. As students and activists, raising awareness about such injustices is a step toward demanding change and supporting those who are most vulnerable. The worst part about this all is that when Ahmad is discharged from the clinic, Israeli prison authorities will return him to solitary confinement and reschedule the court hearings. His nightmare is just going on, and it's sickening to hear about, to watch, and to see happening. Please forgive me if I mispronounced your name. But Khalud, who works at Amnesty International's campaigner, said in an interview that, quote, Ahmad Manasra was taken to the mental health unit at Ayalon prison after spending the better part of 2 years in solitary confinement. The Israeli prison service has requested an extension of Ahmad's isolation for another 6 months in a brazen violation of international law. Prolonged solitary confinement lasting more than 15 days violates the absolute prohibition of torture and other cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment. He went on to say that Israeli authorities have treated Ahmad with the inhumane cruelty intent on punishing him past breaking point. He is now so gravely unwell that he could not attend his own hearing. Yet when Ahmad is discharged from the clinic, prison authorities will return him to solitary confinement and reschedule the court hearing. Ahmad's nightmare goes on and on. Ahmad has been diagnosed with serious mental health conditions, including schizophrenia and severe depression, for which he has been hospitalized. Israeli authorities continue to ignore the warnings of independent psychiatrists who have said that Ahmad's life is at risk if he remains in prison. Worse still, they have condemned Ahmad to spend years in isolation despite his conditions and demonstrating once again their contempt for Palestinian rights, well-being, and lives. He ended by saying that Ahmad watched from behind bars as his childhood ebbed away. He is now a young man, and his life has been defined by the violations which helped to maintain Israel's cruel system of apartheid against Palestinians. He is deeply traumatized, but it's not too late for him to rebuild his future so that he can begin his recovery process with the support of his family and his community. Now, Khalud's interview spoke so many truths. We really need to start screaming from the mountaintops the need for Western and European countries to confront the stark reality that Ahmad's case is similar to so many other disabled Palestinians who live under an apartheid state and under an apartheid court system. This story isn't just a case study, it's a glaring indictment of a system that is steeped in inhumanity and corrupt that forces people into mental decline and mental illness. Ahmad's case is a microcosm of the larger oppressive reality of state-sanctioned cruelty faced by Palestinians under Israel's rule. In the face of such blatant disregard for human rights, the international community cannot continue to remain silent. Ahmad's ongoing nightmare is really a reminder of the urgent need for systematic top-down change, and he must be released. We must call for them to free Ahmad, and we must call for Palestine to be free.